By show of hands, how many people here think the work they do matters? That's good. That would have been awkward if it's... that is what I'd like to talk to you about today. There's some great synergy I noticed happening with Luke and his company. I'm interested in exactly the same thing. What matters, the work we do. We know what matters. How do we get others to see that? There it is. Okay. So this is a question that I ask all of my clients because I want to be confident that they understand the answer and understand what we're trying to achieve together. So after years of asking this question, I can usually predict based on where someone is in their business journey, how they're going to answer it. Someone who's never been particularly interested in business will probably, talk to me about their favorite product, like their favorite brand of shampoo or toothpaste or something like this. A new business owner is probably associating things that they can see, logos, colors, typography, all of that fun stuff. A brand strategist that I worked with said, it's a promise that you make to your customers, which is nice, simple. There's a renowned brand marketing guru called Seth Godin, many of you may have heard of. He says, branding is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for the consumer's decision to choose one product or service over another. Perhaps you're starting to see the problem, because as much as the new business owner may be wrong to say that your logo is your brand, they're not completely wrong, because that is a part of your brand, right? And while the successful business owner may be wrong to say that the brand is the promise you make to your customer, or they may say it's the story or any of these other things, again, they're not completely wrong. That is an integral part of your brand. And though Seth undoubtedly has a much more complete understanding of branding than I do, even his definition doesn't align with other brand strategists and people in this space. So this presents quite a challenge for people like myself in this space, because we are speaking to business owners and asking them to invest in something which is intangible, mysterious, and seemingly indefinable, okay? But it's also at the same time absolutely crucial to the success of their business, right? So there are two promises I want to make to you tonight, and explain the reason why I'm telling you all of this. It's because, especially after Jai has just beautifully explained the brand, because whether you're a business owner or not, your understanding of branding or your lack of understanding of branding has and will affect or have a profound impact on your business life. And number two, because there is a fundamental business principle, or branding principle, that most businesses haven't considered, which when you hear it, well, probably it did for me, completely change the way you understand brand, the way you operate your business, and make the value of investing in brand absolutely irrefutable. Okay. So here is my definition of branding, in case it means anything at all, because there's a million of them, but it's the sum of past experiences and future expectations that someone has about you or your business. And as Jaya just pointed out, it's the sum of a large group of activities and every possible touch point. So it's not just what you say you are, it's what others believe you to be. And although, so your logo, your story, your promises, these are all tools, as Jaya said, you can use to shape these perceptions, but the key point that she made and that I want to reiterate and echo before I go on is that your brand exists in the minds of others. So you can have as many brands as you have customers or people aware of your business, okay? It's all about perception. And this is the reason why you can have two companies with identical products, but with people having a clear preference for one over the other. What does this mean? It means the way your receptionist answers the phone contributes to your brand. How easy your website is to navigate contributes to your brand. How you reply to comments on social media, or how long it takes you to reply, contributes to your brand. Every unanswered email, every inconsistency, all of this contributes to your brand. And the collected impression of all of this is what makes it up. So while we like to think of something as branding as something that we do, it's actually the result of everything that we do. Okay, welcome to the part with the stats. I'm not going to go through all of these, but take a moment to read through some of this, because it's actually quite startling just how profound an impact branding can have. And so what do we do in light of information like this? How do we build that relationship with our customers? The proven, demonstrated method is storytelling. Powerful brands are built on powerful stories. It's primal. Like, stories are how we make sense of the world as human beings. They're how we remember, they're how we connect with people. It's why we care. So learning to find and shape and share these stories authentically is perhaps the most valuable skill your brand can develop. In fact, and I understand the irony of what I'm about to say, but you are 22 times more likely to remember stories than facts and figures. So this is what we're going to focus on today, is I'm going to show you how to develop a compelling brand story for your business that actually matters to people. So how do we do that? Well, first we need to understand what matters to people. Okay, so I made a promise earlier about explaining how your understanding of brand will impact your business. So the reason should be self-evident, I think, but the most consequential of those being that failure to interact with it is at the very least an enormous missed opportunity. Why would a person buy a Rolex for $100,000? The function of which I will remind you is to tell the time. I once saw a plain white t-shirt. My girlfriend dragged me into one of these designer clothing stores. A plain white t-shirt priced at $600. Or take bottled water. So we're sold the idea of clean, pure spring water by the biggest water brands in the world, but the water they're selling us came from the tap. Okay, so the reason we buy these things can only be branding, the story we're told, and that we believe or that we tell ourselves. Because the stories these companies tell us about these products builds those future expectations. They give us things that only exist in our perception. So in a purely logical sense, that $600 t-shirt provides the same value as a $20 t-shirt, right? It's a shirt, you can wear it. But in the customer's perception, there is more value. Status, exclusivity, identity are all wrapped up in this. All the value that they create in their minds. That's a result of branding. So the same goes for the watch. I can see what time it is on my phone, but I can't silently communicate my wealth and my status by checking the time on my phone. And have you noticed how in business, in advertising, luxury car commercials, for example, they're not talking about horsepower and fuel efficiency. They're selling you an idea of luxury, a feeling of sophistication, of achievement. Organic food brands, they're going to sell you peace of mind or a feeling of environmental consciousness or a sense that you're making better choices for yourself or your community or your family. They're not focused on telling you what they're selling, what their products and services are. They tell you why it matters. So before we start implementing this with a practical activity, I did make you a second promise to share a branding principle that would irrefutably demonstrate the value of investing in your brand. And I should also point out, when I say investing, I don't just mean financially. Jaya just told a beautiful story about how she invested in her brand, right? You may be investing time, you may be investing but thinking about your brand, putting time or research into it. Whatever that investment may be, it's crucial that you're doing it. So this has been implicit in everything that I've explained, so perhaps you've spotted it, but when we engage in branding, the exercise of branding for our business, when we invest no time, no money, no thought into who we target, no thought into how we communicate or what images or colors we're using, we are still making those choices, right? You're still communicating to people, to a particular group of people. You're still using images and colors. You're still creating an impression in the minds of your customers or potential customers. The only difference is that these impressions are forming without your input, without your guidance or influence. So this is the reality of branding that most businesses miss. You don't get to decide whether you have a brand. You have a brand. As soon as you opened your doors as a business person or put something out into the world, you created an impression in the minds of the people who saw it. So your only choice is whether you want some input into what your brand stands for, or whether you want others to decide that for you. So you're not avoiding brand by not investing in it, you're just surrendering control of it. You're letting your brand be defined by accident instead of by intention, and by default instead of by design. The good news is that understanding this means you can take your first step in controlling it. Once you realize that your brand exists, the path forward, right, becomes clearer. Every business decision you make from here on can be an intentional step towards shaping how people think about your business. Okay, so let's start today. Let's take our first step, which is developing our brand story. So I want to share the exact framework that I use with my clients to help them develop a brand that truly matters. And I think a lot of people in this room could appreciate the fact that this framework is actually particularly relevant when working with limited resources, right? Because it helps you focus your efforts on creating meaningful impact rather than just trying to match marketing budgets of your competitors. So each of these 4 dimensions is a lens through which your brand can matter. So we have first one is practically. This is the tangible things you do or value you create, right? So what are the problems you solve through your products and services? If you start listing your products and services, you can probably get to the tangible value very quickly. Socially, this is how do you connect people? How do you bring people together? How do you build communities? How do you foster meaningful connections and relationships? Okay, this is a powerful way that you can make your brand and your business matter. Culturally is more about a broader societal or community-based impact. So what are the conversations that are happening that you would like to influence? The mindsets that you'd like to shift? What are the assumptions implicit in your community that you would like to challenge? And then, of course, into the future. How do we want to matter into the future? Your vision for tomorrow. What is the better, preferred future that you're working to create? So these are the things that we are going to try to answer today, to try to come to our brand story. So if you have a pen and paper or something to write on, if you don't, even just in your phones or whatever it may be, a notes app, we're going to work through these one by one, and I'll give you a few minutes on each.
Write it on the back of mine. Mine's really just homework for me.
Okay, Jaya said write it on the back of hers if you will. Feel free to do that. Her sheet will be homework for you. Okay, let's start with practically. Give you a few minutes. I've got some prompting questions to help you maybe answer this. Listing your products or services, or the top 3 practical problems solved. Remember, these are tangible. This is tangible value that you create. This is at a fundamental level what you do as a business and how you help people. Take a few minutes and to write some ideas down. Okay, let's move on. So culturally, again, there's a few prompts here. What conversations is your brand starting? What beliefs are you challenging or assumptions are you challenging? What behaviors do you want to change? These could be as simple as, taxes need to be complicated. People think that, or this thing is complicated. Actually, it can be really simple. Whatever the belief is that sort of is underlying something in your space, in your industry that you want to challenge, make a list of some of these. And maybe writing some of the new perspectives that you're offering in replacement. Okay, let's move on. When I hear talking, then I know people are probably finishing up. Socially, it's also worth noting at this point, some of these are going to resonate more for you than others, but there should be some aspect of your business in which you can apply the work you do to each of these dimensions. Some of them may just be stronger than others, but socially, who do you bring together? What are the communities that you create? This can be one of the most powerful ways for your brand to matter. People want to feel part of a community, and that actually creates loyalty. They're going to be loyal to that community. If they see that your brand, your business stands for the same things that they believe in, they're going to feel a kinship with you. So how can we strengthen those connections? What communities have you built? Okay, last one. Future. How do you want to matter into the future? What is the better, what is the preferred future that you are working to create? How are you pioneering change? What will your impact be? Okay, how did we go? This is the trickier part, but this is, what frameworks are. So we need to figure out how we combine all of this into our brand story. So a couple things. I've got a formula here, but play loose with it. Even the example that I've given you here plays loose with the formula. The idea, though, is to try to encapsulate these different dimensions within a short, succinct story. It's also worth noting that this is not your new marketing slogan or something that you're just pasting onto your website. It could be, but it doesn't need to be. This is more of an internal tool for you to use. It's going to guide your future efforts in terms of how you speak to clients, because again, the more powerful thing to do is to tell a story. If you say, here is what I do, here are the services I offer, it's going to be less powerful than saying, here's why that matters. Here's the actual value, right? What are you actually selling? So have a go. I know there's only a few minutes left here, so you can put some more thought into this at home later, but have a go at combining these elements into a succinct brand story for your business. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Is there anyone who would like to share? Did anyone put something together that they're happy with? Anyone willing to? That's okay. We're not happy with them yet. We're going to take it home. We're going to digest, right? Okay. I hope that was helpful as a starting point to get you thinking about how you can create a story around the value that you provide as a brand, what you really do, and how your work really matters, and how you can use that to connect with your customers. Before I wrap up, I do just want to mention that both Jaya and I have offers which are available only to you all tonight. If you want to dive much deeper into all of this stuff with me, I have my Brand Matters Strategy Development, which is a workshop, and then a brand strategy, which is created for your business with recommendations for your business. Jaya has her spring sale at the moment. So it's got all of the bells and whistles that her package has: professional makeover, branding profile images, reels and video, all sorts of things for an amazing price. So please connect with us, follow us, and come have a chat if you're looking for have any questions or anything like that. But otherwise, thank you for being such a great audience, and have a good night.